What's up guys, Johnny here, coming at you really late. I don't know why, but I just finished Fuller House, the first season of Fuller House, and I have some thoughts on it. So I guess you could consider this my season 1 review of Fuller House. So let's get right into it. So if you're wondering about the story, DJ Tanner's husband has just recently passed away, and she's pretty much left on her own to take care of her 3 kids. But in good old Full House fashion, her whole family is right there by her side when she needs them the most. And we are talking everybody. But this is only temporary. I mean, all these people have to get back to their own lives since they no longer live in the same house together. In fact, Danny Tanner is putting the house back on the market since he's planning on selling it. And this is when reality starts to set in for DJ, and she realizes, wow, I'm going to be alone raising my 3 kids. Am I capable of doing this on my own? And pretty much Stephanie, her sister, realizes that she is in a really tough situation, and she decides, you know what, I'm gonna leave everything, like my job, because she's now a DJ. Stephanie is a DJ, and her name is DJ Tanner, but she leaves behind that crazy DJ life, and she decides, I'm gonna move in with my sister because she needs me. And Kimmy Gibbler is also like, hey, I'm gonna move in too. And Stephanie's like, no, you don't have to. And she's like, no, I'm doing it, you know, because it's Kimmy. So now they're all living together, and no, you are not going crazy. This is the exact same story as Full House. And even all the characters are taking the roles of previous characters. So DJ is pretty much Danny, Kimmy is Joey, Stephanie is Uncle Jesse, and even DJ's kids, like her kids, Jackson is DJ from the older show, Max is Stephanie from the older show, and Tommy is Michelle from the older show. So everything, this is all perfectly coordinated. Something that really stood out to me about this show is how self-aware it is. It knows what people think about Full House and this revival, and it addresses them head on. In the first episode, there's already a reference to how Michelle is missing. You know, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen did not come back to reprise their roles as Michelle Tanner, and this has been a big thing. Like, everybody's been asking, where are they? And they referenced it, like, in the first episode, and then I think one more time throughout the season, and how in the old show they would always hug and they would play that music in the background, and they do that in this show as well, but they actually reference it. Uncle Jesse makes a joke about it and says, is it just me or does anybody else hear violins? So it's very self-aware humor that actually surprised me. And yes, if you're wondering, the show does have its fair share of cheesy and corny moments, especially in the first episode, just because they have all of the older characters in the first episode, so they pretty much have to make, references and do their own catchphrases, and they even break out into song at some points. But that is the first episode. Later on, they tone it down. The older characters, their roles are reduced to like cameos or guest starring in later episodes, and it really becomes a story about DJ and Stephanie and Kimmy and their kids. But if you're a fan of Full House, then you probably know that that show was cheesy at some points as well, so this shouldn't really come as a surprise. Although the show is a throwback, there are a couple of things they added to make it seem modern, so there's going to be a lot of, selfie taking and references to like Instagram and the like. There was even one part, there was one part where Kimmy is talking to Stephanie, and she tells her, you are on fleek. Yeah. That being said, the show is funnier than I was expecting it to be. I was expecting to have a couple of chuckles here and there, but there were some parts that genuinely got a laugh out of me, and there was one in particular that I remember where DJ and Steve are on a date, and they're making some type of, I think it was like hamburger meat or something. It was a very unsexy food, but they decided to make it in the style of the movie Ghost. I love that scene, and it's mostly because you can see that the interactions between not just the characters but the actors themselves, these interactions are genuine, and they are having fun doing this scene, and in turn that makes me have fun watching the show. And that's really where the show excels, in my opinion. It's not just the jokes that are written on paper for these actors to say, it's the interactions between them and how comfortable they are with each other that really always brings a smile to my face. They know their audience as well. They know that a lot of the people that watch Full House were kids, I was a kid when I first watched Full House, and now I'm in my 20s. So it was nice to see that there were some jokes specifically for that audience, you know, jokes that are just going to completely fly over the heads of kids. Some examples, there was a part where Stephanie makes a reference to like her special brownies, if you know what I mean. And there was a joke where DJ's oldest son, Jackson, is working on a school project, and it's like a volcano. And he just walks in and he's like, man, I was up all night trying to make my volcano explode. You know, like things like that. Like, they gotta laugh at me, but kids aren't gonna understand. And that's what's good about it, because it's not like overly crude humor where you're gonna feel uncomfortable watching it with your kids. It's pretty much like the show is going to have something for anybody to enjoy. One thing I was really worried about were the new characters, specifically the kids, just because kids can be really hard to cast because they could just end up being annoying. But those worries were laid to rest because all these kids are funny in their own way and they're likable, so that was a huge relief. There's also some new characters that are introduced. Kimmy's ex-husband, Fernando, his shtick is that he has a really heavy Spanish accent. One of those accents that's so heavy that you think it's fake, you know? So that's his thing, but he's a really likable guy as well. But those characters were part of the main cast. Even characters that are limited to one appearance in one episode are still really likable. There was actually two characters in episode 3, which is probably my favorite episode of the entire season, which are these two brothers that they meet at a club, and these guys are funny. Like, I'm glad that even if they're gonna appear just in one episode, they're still written in a fun way that makes them really memorable. Fuller House didn't try to take itself too seriously, which I am happy about for the most part. It knows its roots, you know, that Full House, it was never overly dramatic about a certain issue in an episode. And if there was like a really big issue with heavy themes surrounding it, it was usually resolved pretty quickly and with hugs probably. But I was kind of surprised because in Full House, the first season of Full House, Danny, most of it is about Danny trying to cope with his wife having passed away. DJ is in the same situation with her husband, but it's not brought up nearly as many times as I thought it would be. And if it is, it's usually very quick and it's not sad, you know? It's like, there was a part where one of DJ's kids goes back to where his dad worked, and one of the guys is just like, hey, I'm sorry about your dad, and the kid's like, thanks, you know, like that was it, you know, very quick. So that was something that was really surprising to me. It might be something they delve into more in following seasons, but that's something that really stuck out to me. But I am glad it doesn't take itself too seriously. You know, there is some plots that I enjoyed. There was one where the kids, obviously, it's very apparent when the show first starts. The kids are always on their phones or their tablets, and there's one episode that directly addresses this, where a special guest star comes in and shows the kids the error of their ways and shows them how to interact with each other and have fun together. And I feel like that was a great... It was actually episode 3. Yeah, it was episode 3. That's why I love that episode so much. I'm not going to tell you guys who it is because I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but that plot lended itself perfectly to that person, so I'm really glad that person guest starred. There's also the main storyline that goes throughout the season, which is DJ is pretty much in a love triangle with her old boyfriend Steve and this new love interest who's new to the show, and a very likable guy as well. But usually when you think love triangle, you're like, drama, problems, you know, but that's not how they deal with it in this show. Like I said, it doesn't take itself too seriously, so anytime they interact, all three of them, it's broken up by jokes, and it's fun. There's no drama here, no problems, which I really enjoy because the way they handle these issues is perfect for the type of show Fuller House is trying to be. Now to the overall point of the video, does Fuller House live up to the original? In my opinion, yes, it does completely. I enjoyed this season way more than I thought I would. There was another 90s revival show that I watched. I might talk about it in another video, but it really disappointed me and it kind of soured me on the idea of having more revival shows. But I gotta say, I enjoyed Fuller House. If you're a fan of Full House, then you're going to enjoy Fuller House. It's a perfect continuation of that story. It's like Full House never ended. If you're not a fan of Full House, if you think it's too cheesy for you, then I'm sorry, you're not going to enjoy Fuller House, just because, like I said, it's a direct continuation. It brings along all the greatness as well as all the flaws of the old show, but since I'm a fan of Full House, I enjoyed it to bits. It's already confirmed for season 2, which I'm really excited about, but if you guys have already watched season 1 of Fuller House, let me know what you guys thought about it. But this was my review, my thoughts on the season, and as always, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.